I was married to my wife for 6 years. We had 2 children, a son before marriage and my daughter later into the marriage. My wife and I met at a conference. She actually did very well for herself. She worked in marketing for a company and traveled a lot for work. I work in database administration. The day we met, the company I worked for was holding its annual conference, and she and others from her company were in attendance. We exchanged contact information specifically for work-related purposes, but it turned into much more, obviously. She ended up getting pregnant with our first child a year and a half into us seriously dating. When we found out, I proposed immediately. She, of course, said yes. After my first was born, we had a small wedding with friends and family in attendance. Things were great. She didn't wait long after having our son to get back to work. Thankfully, my parents were and still is more than willing to watch after the kids. Eventually, she went back to traveling for work until we found out she was pregnant again with our second. She still worked and traveled while pregnant this time, until right before she was due. A little after 5 years into our marriage, I discovered my wife had been having an affair with her coworker. One day I was working from home and I received a call from an unknown number. The number kept calling me. I had ignored it twice before answering it. It ended up being my wife's coworker's wife. She explained to me how my wife and her husband were having an affair and she exposed them to their management. She sent me screenshots of emails, texts, and said she has credit card records of hotel stays in our city, and she also had proof that they take advantage of the business trips to carry on their affair. I spoke to this woman for nearly an hour and was in disbelief. I was livid. This affair had been going on before my wife even met me. When I found that out, I immediately questioned if my children were actually mine, as this was what truly scared me. I was angry at my wife and her coworker, but was terrified that my children weren't mine. Both are mine. I know they were. They are both spitting images of me. The co-worker's wife told me she had already filed for divorce and was already done with him. I thanked her for the information and we ended the call. Not too long after speaking with the other betrayed partner, my wife came in. She was crying her eyes out, barely able to breathe and hyperventilating. She was screaming, "My career is over. Honey, my career is over." I was just staring at her. I said, "You're worried about your effing career. What about your family?" She said, "Oh no, honey, I'm so sorry. I can explain everything to you." She tried grabbing and hugging me. I threw her hands off of me. I said some things to her that I can't even write here. But before I went up to pack my things to head to my parents' house, I told her we were getting a divorce. My parents had our children at their place that day. Sometimes my mom would come to our home to watch the kids or we take them there. We all live near each other. While I was packing my bag, she was begging me not to leave, saying she could explain everything, and even accused her coworker's wife of lying and said she was crazy. I told her I have all the screenshots of emails and text messages between her and her coworker. I specifically brought up one message where she said she wished she was married to him and he was her true love. I said, "Now he's all yours. His wife doesn't want him, and I sure as heck don't want you. Now you all can live happily ever after." She cried, screaming up until I walked out the door. Before getting to my parents' house, I decided to just drive. I eventually pulled into a store parking lot, called my job, someone on my team, and apologized. Someone on the team had been trying to contact me, and I wasn't responding. I told them I was having a family emergency and needed a few days off. It was given with no issue. I eventually head back to my parents' house and my wife was already there. My kids were crying because she was crying. My mom took the kids to another room and my wife was still singing the same old song. "I'm so sorry, we can work through this." Eventually, my dad told her it would be best if she left. She demanded to take our kids with her and said she was not leaving without them. I went and hugged the kids and told them everything was going to be okay, that daddy will see them the next day, and they were going to go home with mommy. She eventually left, and I was in my thoughts the entire night. I didn't get any sleep. I instead got up and searched for lawyers. I spent the morning speaking with different firms before heading down to one that same afternoon. There was no issue. According to the lawyer, it should be an easy divorce because of her infidelity and the evidence that I had. Otherwise, we would have to show an effort with counseling. I had no intention of getting full custody. She ruined her visitation on her own. After she was served divorce papers at our home, she went off on the carrier. It was someone appointed by the sheriff. She almost got into trouble for the assault because she threw the papers at him. She later took it upon herself to pack up our kids and head to another city in our state. Her intentions were to run away from all of this with our kids. I had evidence of this because she was dumb enough to text me saying, "You can't divorce me if I don't cooperate with you. Me and the kids will be elsewhere." Somehow, she eventually came to her senses, returned and claimed it was just a short vacation to visit a family member, and she was not trying to move her and the kids somewhere else. She got a lawyer, and they tried to paint me as if I was abusive and caused her to run to someone else to confide in. I couldn't believe her. I never laid a hand on her. During the divorce process, she was arrested for DUI twice. I had the children that night, but her drinking became a big problem. My mother told me she was afraid to leave the kids with her anymore because her drinking has become out of control. She and her coworker were also terminated. Though I guess she just saw her life falling apart and found solace in a wine bottle. My lawyer jumped all over the DUI incident, and we proved that she was lying about me abusing her because I had a recording of her saying that she lied about me abusing her, and she will say whatever she needs to get what she wants. The same day, she found out I recorded her telling on herself. She got another DUI. My lawyer jumped all over it and moved with her not being a fit mother and at least needed counseling and help for her alcohol addiction. It ended up taking over 10 months before the divorce was finalized, and I was awarded temporary full custody of the children. She was allowed to see the children with supervision. She usually would see them at my parents' house. Eventually, those visits stopped and she just vanished. No one knew where she was, and everyone was worried. She hadn't been attending her meetings to fix her addiction, and no one knew where she was. I tried my best to keep my kids from worrying and said Mommy was away working and would be back soon. Me having full custody of the kids, I got the home temporarily. We will either have to sell and split the funds or someone buys the other one out. She hasn't gotten another job. This woman has completely just lost it all upstairs. Though it had been 3 months since her disappearance, her parents and family even began to accuse me of harming her and threatened to go to the police. According to her sister, she knew she was okay, but she told her not to tell anyone. I don't know why she felt the need to pull a dumb stunt like this. I was afraid something had happened to her. Yeah, she's a vile human being, and I'm happy she lost her job, and she's not my wife anymore, but I don't wish death on her. I guess during this 3-month getaway, she decided to work up a plan on getting her family back. My kids were excited to see her and really missed her and made her promise to take them whenever she goes on vacation again. She told them she went on vacation. I truly don't know where she was or what she was doing during those 3 months of absence. She asked to talk to me outside away from everyone and started telling me how sorry she was. I tried to stop her, but she begged me to just listen, so I just listened to her. She said it never meant anything between her and her coworker, and that she knew it was wrong because he was married, and she thought after meeting me, the fling between them would have just been a thing of the past. After a minute of her making excuses for her wrongdoings, I said, "Okay, stop. We're divorced and we're done. Good luck with finding another position somewhere, but you and I are done. I don't care how sorry you are, just be there for your kids and put the darn bottle down." She started crying and tried to hug me. I backed away and said stop. I went back inside. She later came back in and asked my parents to stay the night to be with the kids. On my way out, she stopped me right before getting to my car to head home. She said, "I'll never stop fighting for my family. I will win you back." I didn't say anything. I got into my car and I left. So, a couple days later, I went to pick up my kids after leaving work, and my mom handed me an envelope. I asked, "What is this?" She said it's for me. I thought it was something from my mom, so I took the envelope and my children and headed home. After putting my kids to bed, I looked at the envelope and unfolded the papers to see it was a handwritten letter. Immediately, I saw who it was from, my ex-wife. It went, "My sweet love, my one and only." I said nope, balled it up, and tossed it on the table. She really is trying. I was a bit disappointed at my mother for giving me the letter. I'm just hoping she gets the hint and move on. I don't want her. It's over. Done deal. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you again. Take care.